It was 2011, and finally got the bad guy. Finally got the guy who was the financier, the guy behind the attacks of 9/11. And we didn't think we'd ever find out who got the guy, but it turns out it was a Navy SEAL team. And it turns out the guy who actually did the taking out of Osama bin Laden is now a friend of mine, and you know him very well. It's Robert O'Neill.
They swatted him. They condemned him on social media. They did everything they could to silence him. It didn't work.
Your show's a big hit. It's a big success. You do fantastically. Your ratings are great, and we're very proud of you.
This is Unshaken and Unafraid with Joe Pags.
Rob, I appreciate you coming on, brother. Good to see you. How are you? How have you been? I see you everywhere.
I've been a little bit busy. We just had a Netflix series come out where some of the smart people who actually found Osama bin Laden are finally telling their stories. I think it's the first time Admiral Bill McRaven has told his part of the story, and obviously he was in charge of Joint Special Operations Command that recommended SEAL Team 6 to President Obama. And it was, that was one of the moments in my life where I actually saw bipartisanship, because we had Democrats in the White House, we had Republicans in the Department of Defense, but the decision was made, what's right? And I'll tell you what, we're in a spot right now where I wish more people in Washington, D.C. just what's right, not how do I line my pockets, what's the best for the American people. And you'll notice too, a lot of people that are in DC right now, trying to do what's best for the American people, they get torn down. The left-wing media tries to destroy their families, and a lot of these. I mean, we've got big name people in there working for free, just trying to make sure you don't get ripped off. And the people that are ripping you off control the media, so they're going to tell you it's bad. It's a wacky world, but that was a time that the right decision was made, and just the greatest honor of my life to be picked for that team.
Robert O'Neill, go and follow him right now, robertjo'neill.com. See this program on Netflix. It's American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden. I want to let's go back to how you even got into the military. How do you join the Navy? Was it after the attacks of 9/11 or before then?
No, it was before. I joined in 1995, and I left in 1996, and that was simply because it was one of those moments where it's just time to get out of here. And I've heard people, when I've been in restaurants or bars or wherever, Fredericksburg, Virginia, San Diego, California, when someone just says, at the age of 19 or 20, I just got to get out of here. And that's where I was. It was time to leave Butte, Montana. And the quickest way out was to join the Marine Corps, because I knew some buddies that joined the Marine Corps, and I'd seen Full Metal Jacket. How hard can that be? And, and I went down. This is so crazy, because I went down to join the Marine Corps, and my wife calls me the luckiest unlucky man in the world, because as luck would have it, the Marine recruiter wasn't in the office, but the Navy guy was. And the only reason I went into the Navy guy is my two buddies who were Marines told me the Marine Corps is actually part of the Department of the Navy. It's just the men's department. So I walked in there and said, hey man, if anyone will know where the Marine is, you will, because you're both Department of the Navy. And he simply looked at me and said, why do you want the Marine? I said, I'm a hunter. I want to be a sniper. And he said, look no further. We have snipers in the Navy. You just need to become a SEAL. He didn't get into that. Being from landlocked Montana, I didn't know how to swim, but I figured at 19 years old, I'm kind of naive, but here's a professional recruiter. Why is he going to lie to me? But what I'm a huge believer in too is the butterfly effect, that the littlest decision you make, good or bad, in 30 years can greatly affect you. I'm a father of daughters, and I've told them, if that Marine recruiter was not at Arby's on a random Wednesday at noon, you wouldn't be alive, because I would have joined the Marine Corps. And I joined the Navy just because he seemed like he knew what he was talking about, and that was it. And I found out what SEALs do, and I was like, well, I still have the ID to the college where I'm playing basketball. They have a pool. I should probably get in there and learn how to swim, because I heard SEALs do that. And I was actually hoping that maybe it was a Navy AL, just air and land instead of sea, but they didn't do that.
Just stop, Rob. You literally couldn't swim. Literally,
I could keep myself alive, but I didn't know any strokes. I certainly couldn't swim.
You're possibly the most famous Navy SEAL ever. You did not know how to swim.
You would be surprised how many SEALs have the same story. Tried to join the Army, tried to join the Air Force, didn't know how to swim. I guess the Navy guys look good in their khakis or something, because the Navy chief convinced me that I could do it. But I mean, and the cool thing was, I don't know why, again, being lucky, but when I got to SEAL training, I had an instructor pull me aside, and he was a basketball player like me. And he said, I know you've probably read the books at this point. Regardless of what you've been told, this course is not impossible. People graduate. Look at me. I'm living proof. So I'll never ask you to do anything impossible, but I will make you do something very hard, followed by something very hard, followed immediately by something very hard, day after day after day for 8 straight months. And that sounds like a lot to get from now to 8 months from now, but don't think about it that way, because that's not how you achieve a long-term goal. Do it like this. Wake up in the morning on time, make your bed the right way, and then brush your teeth. That's 3 victories. Make it to the 4 a.m. workout on time. And as I'm beating you, don't think about the pain. Concentrate on your next goal in life, which is breakfast. After breakfast, your next goal in life is lunch. After lunch, it's dinner. And after dinner, do everything you need to do to get back inside that perfectly made bed. And because you took the time in the morning for yourself to make your bed the right way, regardless of how bad today was, and it will be bad. Tomorrow's a clean slate. Tomorrow's a fresh start. And when you feel like quitting, which you will, do not quit right now. That's emotion. Quit tomorrow. If you can keep quitting tomorrow, you can do anything. And we would say that to each other. Man, today sure sucks. I hate it. I'm just going to quit tomorrow. And then you wake up tomorrow. I was like, you know what? I'm definitely quitting tomorrow because this is really hard. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to graduate. Now I have to be a Navy SEAL. I don't even know what that is because they haven't taught me anything yet.
I love it. Now, I'm guessing we're the same generation, although I'm pretty sure I'm older than you are. I'm 58. How old are you?
I just turned 49 in April.
Okay, so I'm a little bit older, but you and I come from the same ilk. I wake up in the morning, and it's not being a Navy SEAL. I'm not pretending like I do a job that was anywhere near as hard as you. But I wake up in the morning, and I have a plate that's filled with stuff I want to achieve. And damn it, when I go to bed, if I didn't achieve everything, I'm pretty unhappy. And I don't put anything off till tomorrow. But we've got a generation today. Just want to go off on this tangent for a second, because obviously we've got a similar work ethic. The generation today has been told, if you don't have food, we'll just give you some. If you don't have a place to stay, we'll just give you a place to stay. If you don't have any money, we'll give you a little bit of money. You don't have fill in the blank. You don't have any travel, we can help you travel. And they don't have that sort of get up and go like you and I had, where I'll quit tomorrow. It's like learning how to be a SEAL, learning how to play the saxophone like I play. Tomorrow maybe I'll stop doing this, but today I'm gonna give it my best. Can we change that, Rob? This has been beaten into the current generation. That being like Rob is not the right way to go.
I think, and I can tell you right now, behind closed doors, being like Rob a lot of times isn't how you want to go. But what I've noticed too, and I think a younger generation is coming around because of places like Turning Point, because they're telling you what's right and what's wrong, and we're at a point now where you have to lie because you might offend stupid people, and the only thing that gets you in trouble is telling the truth. And I mean, that's just the way it is. But I think, I mean, just advice. And again, I give myself my own advice every day. Sometimes I don't follow it, but make that list and, make a list of 10 things you want to do that day. And I would narrow it down to 5. You might get 3 of them done. But when you make a list in the morning, when you go to bed at night, look at the list. What didn't you get done? Why didn't you get it done? And how could you improve that? And I mean, for me, that makes my crazy head work sometimes, because you're not, the only time, again, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan for the day.
It is Rob O'Neill. Go and check out his podcast. It's called Operator. It's also the name of his memoir, The Operator: Firing the Shots That Killed Osama bin Laden and My Years as a SEAL Team Warrior. Also go check out American Manhunt. Just to put a fine point on that, I've got 5 daughters, so I'm also the father of daughters. And although they're all my kids and all my wife's kids, they all have different perspectives, and I do believe that it's generational. I've got one that's got kids, and she's in her 30s. Another in her 30s works with me, and then we've got people as young as 10 in the house. And you're seeing a different force from the outside. And you said behind closed doors you don't want to be like Rob O'Neill. I'm talking about the achievements that you obviously have gotten coming from Butte, Montana, and you killed the baddest of the bad guys in Abbottabad, for God's sake. So, I mean, something right clicked in your head that said, I found the thing that I'm good at. How can we implore, and I want to move on past this in a second, but how can we implore the newer generation that we're talking about that aren't looking at Turning Point, that didn't vote for Trump, although a lot of young men did? How do we implore them to understand that there's more out there than what you're being fed by maybe the left media, or maybe by academia, maybe by Hollywood? It's
simple to do that, because if you tell the truth, you don't need to remember anything. And you can look yourself in the mirror and know when someone's lying, when you're lying. Telling the truth, you can tell it, and that's the end of it. You need to repeat a lie over and over and over. We've heard Nancy Pelosi say it. If we just keep saying it enough, and Chuck Schumer saying it enough, people are going to start to believe the nonsense. I mean, look at look at the last 6 years. That's the biggest scandal in American history. And we're not even allowed to say I mean, for a while there too, you're included, and I've been canceled for not admitting free and fair election. We all know what happened.
Yes.
Come on. I mean, if the Democrats know that if they concentrate on Georgia and Arizona, they can steal it. And I'm not gonna name any names because I'll get sued. But come on, you can look at the truth. It's as plain as the day in your face. I'm sorry,
Yes.
the nose on your face, day in your face. That's the kind of sense I'm making. But I mean, but you can't. There was a time where if you even said, look at some of these. Ask them, do you honestly think Joe Biden is the most popular president in the history of presidents? There's no way. There's no way. I mean, it's almost to the point where it's like, okay, the COVID thing that was kind of run by us out of China. How do we get Donald Trump out of office? I mean, seriously, think. I mean, we're seeing stuff the deep state has done. It's scary, and they're still.
At the very least, without getting into counting ballots and machines and anything else, at the very least, we know by every study out there that between 10 and 16% would not have voted for Biden had they known about his son's laptop that everybody and their mother hid. You and I were canceled. We couldn't even share the link to the information from the New York Post on the laptop. So you're right. You're 100% right. So we've been fed this garbage. Are we in a better place now informationally to where young people can learn what you and I need them to learn?
No. The issue we're seeing right now is you got guys like Elon Musk who come in somewhere for government efficiency and get extremely frustrated because here's what's happening. And it's not like he's just showing you stuff. Here's what the algorithm that my code writers wrote to show you trillions of dollars. Yes. And then all of a sudden you show it to them and then you go back to business as usual. You got pork in this massive bill. You got both Democrats and Republicans playing the usual DC thing. You got the FBI. I mean, I'm starting to wonder what kind of dirt the deep state has on some of these appointed judges. Look at Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, did they? Because what you got to realize, and like Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the deep state will ruin your life. They will go after your family and destroy you. You got to wonder what the Epstein Island. What do they have on these people? Pam Bondi. Hey, we're going to come in. We're just going to send him to prison. Well, why isn't anyone in prison yet? I mean, and someone that fought. I mean. The older I get too, the more I question what I was actually fighting for. When is someone going to fight for the American people? Why are so many people defending criminal aliens coming in, defending massive fraud of the money that you're making? You get taxed on money you make and then taxed on money you spend. And then look at the payroll tax. I run a couple of businesses. Look at all the tax. Where's it going? Why can't we get an answer? And when you try to get an answer again, you tell the truth, you get canceled. If you just keep lying and lying and lying, business as usual. And DC needs to get ripped apart. The FBI needs to go somewhere. The CIA needs to go somewhere. A lot of these places, the three-letter agencies like the EPA need to just be abolished. And it's just, it's almost amazing because I think, look at the Department of Education. They haven't been teaching you anything. They've been teaching you to memorize stuff so that doesn't matter what someone's saying, when the bell goes off, get in line, be a good little communist worker. This is not by accident. Nikita Khrushchev told us they're going to come after the entertainment. They're going to come after the media. They're going to come after everything like that. They're doing it. They told us they're going to do it. They're telling us they're doing it. And then we're having debates here with, high school and college age kids. Well, that's not socialism. And real democratic socialism has just never been tried. No, it's been tried and it fails
over and
every
over
time.
and over. It failed every time, every single time.
And along with that, millions and millions of people starved to death. I don't know why it's so complex to understand. You can earn your keep and you can take care of your neighbors without the communal BS. See, I just watched my language.
Right. Thank
I'm actually
you.
impressed with myself right now.
It is Rob O'Neill. Go and check out his podcast, Operator. I'm sure it's available everywhere. Go also to robertjo'neill.com and get his book called The Operator. All right, so you become a Navy guy. When do you decide I'm going to be a Navy SEAL? And looking back, I gather from what you said earlier, it wasn't as hard looking back, but when you were doing it, it was grueling where you were going to quit tomorrow every day. So how do you go from, okay, I signed up for the Navy, let's be a SEAL?
Well, I had two Marines that I loved, and then I had a buddy that joined the Army, and he gave me great advice for joining the military, which is also great advice for running a business, and that's get it in writing. Just get a guarantee that you get a shot at being a SEAL. It's almost like one of the things I hate about business right now is when people say, well, I just work on a handshake. My answer is, cool, sign this contract and I'll shake your hand. But, get it in writing. Right. And so I did get that. I did get a guaranteed shot at getting a test to be a SEAL. And again, I just, okay. I kind of went with it. My outlook was, well, I'm not going to make it, but I'm going to live in California for a few months and then, do 4 years in the fleet on a ship and then go back to Butte, Montana with sea stories. But I ran into, like I mentioned earlier, instructors who proved you could get through it. Because Navy SEALs are guys that just get it. And we were about to start Hell Week, which is the hardest part of SEAL training. When you wake up on a Sunday, you don't sleep until Friday. You're awake the entire time, maybe an hour sleep on the sand at some point. And what the great advice he gave me, because just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Master the easy stuff. He said, you're about to go to war for the first time, and the enemy is all your doubts, all your fears, and everyone you know back home that told you weren't good enough to do this. Keep your head down. Keep moving forward, no matter what. And he also said, never quit or quit tomorrow, and you'll be fine. Master the basics. Don't talk yourself into a butt kicking. It's from here to there. It's one foot in front of the other. And then most importantly, make yourself available. Because, I finished SEAL training in December of 1997. There was no war on the horizon. There was world peace. The Soviet Union was gone. And some of the advice I got, though, was wherever you are, be there.
Okay. Be present.
Just be present, and just don't overcomplicate anything. Just keep it simple. Even when I get asked about the Bin Laden raid, big compound, 23 guys, how did you clear something like that so fast? And my answer is, well, if the guy in front of me went left, I went right, and we did that over and over.
But Rob, how do you not overthink that? I mean, I'm going to Abbottabad, to a place, I'm sure you guys had it mapped out, but to a place I've never been. I'm going to go in there looking for the top terrorist on the planet and take him out if I need to. How do you not, or the weight of that, had you given it any thought at all? I mean, so is it just the mission is the mission is the mission, I'll worry about it later? We're
going to die. This is our last night on the planet. Wow. This is it. And, we all knew that. I mean, right before we left, I'm talking about getting on a helicopter in Jalalabad, flying to Abbottabad. Instead of a handshake, it was just we'd been in combat a ton. Each one of us were the most experienced, most ready, available at the time.
I was going to ask you, how do you make up that team that you knew could go in there and have the possibility of doing the job? So these are people, you guys had all done it a lot, not with Obama or with Osama, pardon me, Freudian slip, not with Osama, but you've done it plenty of times. You had really important missions before, and were you guys then deemed they're the top of the top? They're the best of the best.
Yeah. We were the best in the business. There's no doubt about it. That's the finest team that's ever been assembled, and we accepted. We trained. We didn't need to train for this. We're all ready. We all been 400 combat missions, and we would talk to each other after training for 12, 13-hour days, and we let guys know that you can pull yourself off. You don't need to go. We have alternates.
You really had that option? Really?
Oh, yeah. We had extra guys that wanted to go. There were dudes chomping at the bit to go. A couple, because we weren't allowed to even tell anybody what it really was. But we almost had the guy that led me up the last set of stairs. We were down to 2 guys. And he said, don't take this the wrong way, because I'm 100% going. I just need to say it out loud. If we know we're going to die, why are we going? Which is fair. And we said, we're not going for the fame. We're not going for money. We're going for the first Americans to fight Al-Qaeda toe-to-toe to the death. And those were the passengers on United 93. They were never supposed to be in the fight. We're supposed to be in the fight, and that's why we're going. And it was almost a Braveheart moment, like, look, pull yourself off. That's fine. You can live another 50 years. But when you're on your deathbed, would you give every single day from now until then for one shot at this guy? And everyone said yes. And we had the conversations, but think of the people who looked down from the North Tower and made a choice.
Yeah.
And right now, jumping 1,000 feet is a better alternative than burning alive. And none of us ever know what that was. Shattering windows, waving for a helicopter that's not coming. Those are Americans, and they're not trained like us. Navy SEALs are here to we're here. Not only are we here to win this, we're going in to kill them. And make no mistake, Osama bin Laden, SEAL Team 6 is coming. Osama bin Laden's not coming out of here alive.
Right. How long before you actually went and did it, did you know who the target was? Did they say it's a big target, it's a huge target? Oh, you knew it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, at first they tried to be coy and like, we found a thing in a house, and this house is in a bowl, and this bowl is in a country between these mountains, and they simply said, you're going to go get this thing, and you're going to bring it to us and show it to us. And we're like, cool, what's the thing? We can't tell you. Okay, well, where's this bowl? Can't tell you. What country is this? Can't tell you. How are we getting there? Can't tell you. How much air support do we have? And they said none. We're like, well, wow. At least that's an answer. And but then once they talked around it a little bit, but then we finally went to a spot. I don't want to get too much into where.
Right, I got it.
There was that team that you saw on Netflix was there, and it was mostly women, which is cool. And the head, the leader, and the commanding officer of SEAL Team 6 walked in front of the crew. And I'll never forget it. I remember looking around the room, and they said, the reason you guys are here is this is as close as we've ever been to Osama bin Laden. And I looked around the room, and there was no cheering. There was no high fives. It was a room full of professional shooters. And all we said was, cool, can we go right now?
Wow.
And it was very serious. And we recognized the gravity. I mean, it was almost, it's not morbid. It was such a, looking at my best friends in the world, just saying, man, what an ending. Because bin Laden's going to die, and if we die with him, we still got him.
It's Robert O'Neill. Make sure you check out his podcast called Operator. Get his book, also called The Operator, Firing the Shots That Killed Osama bin Laden and My Years as a SEAL Team Warrior. The Netflix series is called American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden. I have not watched it yet. I'm going to watch it, and I look forward to it. Why did it take 10 years to get him, do you think? Where was he?
Well, I think there was a lot of counterintelligence. I know the CIA team was working. I'm talking, 15, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. But what they had to be very careful of, because you always hear the term silent professional. Those are the actual silent professionals. Okay. They were. I was on a base in Jalalabad a few months before the bin Laden raid with the bin Laden team, and I had no idea they were there. We would joke about bin Laden like he's a ghost. We're never going to find this dude. But they were just diligent about it, and they didn't loose lips, sink ships. They didn't tell anybody until it was time to launch. And we were one of 5 options. And you got to figure, because I'm sure you've heard the stories of living in a cave in the Hindu Kush and dialysis. That was all made up because the way that it works with human intelligence is you pay them. The money rules. So you pay them to tell you what you know. And if a source came in and said, hey, I saw bin Laden, I know it was him in the cave because I saw his dialysis, our initial reaction would be, well, no, you didn't, because we made that up and you're lying.
Wow.
And again,
that's really smart though. Think about that. You guys are planting stuff that weren't true. That's unbelievably intelligent.
Well,
it's Robert O'Neill. But go ahead.
When they say the men and women of the intelligence services, there's some really impressive. I never would have thought of that. And I always tell people I was lucky and smart enough to carry a sledgehammer and a gun and just have some of the CIA team point me in the direction. I'll just go. And after working with them, I was 100% convinced he was there. There was no doubt in my mind. We would get done training every night, and the lead analyst, the lead targeter, would, this is a long day. She'd point at this house and say, all right, Osama bin Laden right now is on the 3rd floor of this house. I don't understand why we're not going. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.
Wow.
So, they were intense. It was because when I'd worked with the agency quite a bit before, and we would always mess with each other. Like I mess with other people, and it's always, tongue in cheek. I mess with Delta Force. I mess with Green Berets. They mess with us and whatever. But I would always say to the CIA, like, the only problem is they make too many movies about you looking cool. You're not that cool. I met the bin Laden team. I was like, okay, good. There is a group of men and women who are that cool, who are that smart, and I'm convinced that he's there.
It is Robert O'Neill. Go and check out his podcast. It's called Operator. Was there a point where I guess governmentally or militarily, I don't know how to really phrase it, where we thought he was dead already? Because I couldn't believe it took 10 years. I was glad that you got him. I was so glad that we finally tracked him down, and I think we all breathed a sigh of relief thanks to you. But was there a point that we thought he was dead, or did we always know that he was still around somewhere?
It turns out they weren't telling me the truth either. I thought he was just gone. I'd always known that the Pakistan intelligence service would hide him because they have that's in their interest, because they're a nuclear power. They don't, they got to. That's the sad of the universe in that part of the world. They got to dance a very, very fine line. Nuclear weapons, Al-Qaeda in one spot. We're there funding all the stuff they do. I mean, we sold them the F-16s that I was worried were going to shoot us down on the way out. So they're going to hide them. But it's not always the Pac Mil or the Pakistani intel. Someone somewhere knows something, but it's almost like need to know type basis. So they're hiding him, but Pakistan's a big place. Those, that's the Western Himalayas. There's some serious mountains there. So I just assumed I was a battlefield interrogator, which means when I'm in the house, the first thing I'm going to do is interrogate the guys because we got them on their heels.
Right.
And I would just randomly ask questions like, who are the men in the house? What are their names? Who owns the place? Where's Osama bin Laden? And literally I would have Al-Qaeda guys laugh in my face. Like, I don't know. I'm like, well, good. I don't know either. Maybe we can all find him and end this nonsense. Like that. Wow. It wasn't real. Like he's gone. He ends out here. He's gone.
It is, it's so hard to understand because you said something that was very, very important, and you said it quickly, so I'll say it a little bit longer. Pakistan is funded by us. We give them, I don't know how many billions of dollars a year, and yet they were hiding the guy they knew that we wanted. And your answer makes sense. It shouldn't, but it does. They have to sort of be on that fence. They have to sort of not cross. They've got to tiptoe the line, don't they?
No, they do. I remember we got a 90-minute flight into bin Laden's house and a 90-minute flight out. And I remember thinking that, because a lot of thoughts in my head. I remember thinking Pakistan could shoot us down right now, and I can't even be mad at them because it's a sovereign nation. It's a first world nation, and we're flying in there. I mean,
they get no heads up, right? Nobody gave them a heads up.
No, oh God, no. That was one of the first things they told us. Like, we could do a multilateral raid with the Pakistan military. Every shooter in the room was like, all right, you want to get rid of bin Laden? That's one way, because he's gone. And I think that's part of the reason they were hesitant with their resistance, because even Khalid bin Laden on the stairs, he might have been thinking, okay, this is the Pakistan military coming to move us, because we were really, really good at what we do, and that means we're very, very quiet,
right? Which
is scary. And I think about the mission every day, and man, that would be scary. You can't hear anything, but there's 23 guys coming up your stairs to get you. And again, that's, you mess around enough, and if SEAL Team 6 comes for you, we've seen how it ends. Everything from rescuing Captain Richard Phillips to getting the lone survivor Marcus Luttrell to rescuing Jessica Buchanan after a hey-ho into Somalia to killing Osama bin Laden, every military-age male. SEAL Team 6 shows up, and it's this is how it's going to go. There's going to be a fight.
It's Robert O'Neill. Go and check out his podcast called Operator, American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden, gripping 3-part docuseries on Netflix. Check that out and get his book called The Operator. We obviously all know what he looks like. We were told he was 6'5", 6'6", so he's a tall guy. But, quite frankly, you might have had a few tall guys there who were all dressed a similar way. Were you absolutely sure it was him? We know that it was him now, but when you're pulling the trigger, you know it's him? And does he say anything before you shoot him?
No, it was his nose. I recognize his nose. He was taller than me. I'm about 6'1". He's about 6'4", and he wasn't surrendering. He had his hands on his wife Amal's shoulders, and he was kind of pushing her towards me. He was 3 feet away, and I just remember thinking he's taller than I thought. He's a lot skinnier than I thought he would be.
Right. And
he hadn't dyed his beard, so it was almost gray. And I assumed he was a suicide bomber, like, just by the way he was responding to us. He had to die, and the way that you deal with a suicide bomber is you shoot him in the mouth. So I shot him just above his eyes 3 times. Well, twice when he was standing and once on the floor, just because a lot of people don't realize to set off a suicide vest, all you need to do is put your wrists together. You could have your leads right here. So if you're coming up like this, boom. And suicide bombers are very, very fast, very loud, permanent, and scary. And I wasn't going to let that happen. I already had one of my guys tackle 2 people he thought were suicide bombers. When he just went left, I went right. And that was the only 3 shots I fired on that mission. And he was, I said we're going to kill him. We're going to kill. If he came out of the shower with his hands up, maybe. But you got to figure, if we arrest bin Laden, he would still be on trial in Lower Manhattan right now, making a mockery of us. It's just better to go in there. And even when Vice President Biden at the time said SEAL Team 6 went to get him, I didn't have a problem with that, because I want every terrorist in the world to know that if and when we find you, we have men that will come get you.
It is Robert O'Neill. So at that moment when that's going down, you've got to be thinking about suicide vest. They did not have time because, as you said, you're all very quiet. 23 members, but you're all very quiet. They did not know you were showing up. Nobody gave them the heads up. So even being prepared with a suicide bomb probably was a small chance. But you've got to think about that because at that time, and still now, people will kill themselves for the cause. But you said that he was pushing his wife towards you. Do you think he was? I mean, what was that, do you think?
I read her account. And what she said to him was, "They're not here for you; they're here for me," or something like that. And she actually got shot in the leg too. Not a lot of people know that, so I didn't do that. I didn't. Well, it's not something we bring up, but there was a stray shot somewhere. But and I think she just stayed with him. But again, we're the good guys. We're not going to, the more latitude we get, the better we are. Cause that's why we take headshots. People will say, well, I thought it was 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. It's like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm part of a hostage rescue team. I take shots to the head, period. That's it. I mean, even after I killed him, I moved her. I pulled her to my right because I killed Osama bin Laden at the foot of his bed. I moved her back. And as I was moving her, his 2-year-old son, Hussein, was looking at me. And as a father, my reaction was, this poor kid has nothing to do with this. What, almost like, what are we doing here? And so I moved him too. And then other SEALs started coming. I was alone in the room, without other SEALs for a few seconds. And so I'm sort of having an out of body experience. And one of my guys came up to me and he said, "Hey, you good?" And I said, "What do we do now?" And he said, "Now we find the computers. We do this every night. You've done this hundreds of times." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. I'm back." Wow. And he said, "Yeah, you just killed Osama bin Laden. Your life just changed. Now get to work with the rest of us."
Rob, it's amazing. And I think that you've told me something like that before, but it actually hit me in the stomach that time. You were lost for a moment. I just did that. Yeah. I mean, the weight of it hit you as you stood in his bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, it's graphic, and that's probably why the pictures haven't been released. I shot him 3 times in the head with 77 grain hollow point, and I could hear him exhaling. I could see his tongue. I don't want to describe what his head looked like, and it's justice was served, and it was nasty, and it was. I mean, we'll see the pictures eventually. We have the ones that I took. Those are my gloves in the picture, and then we have the ones that the agency took when professional photographs. I mean, they're out there, and it's. We got them. So,
it's a moment of reality. The operation starts for a second, and it's a moment of reality. You're a human. You just took out somebody else in the most gruesome way, but it was a good thing. That's a lot to process, man.
Oh, it is. It is too, and you got to figure too with the families that are there. Just because your husbands are jerks doesn't mean the kids are. So. On the way out, we got to sort of explain to the family, hey, stay in this corner. Don't come outside. There's aircraft watching. Just don't come outside. The sun will come up, and the Pakistani military will be here. Because I mean, there's a human element. We treat their kids and families a hell of a lot different than they would treat our families. This is why I have so much security and shotguns and dogs and cameras in my house, because if I shouldn't joke, it's kind of morbid, but the next person I kill will be in my own house. I don't think he's ready for it. But yeah, but then you got to figure, so putting a body in there, calling in another helicopter, we got to blow that helicopter up that crashed. Then we got to fly 90 minutes to get out. And then there's all the emotion involved.
So you weren't safe yet. You weren't safe yet.
No.
He's dead. He's dead, but you guys still weren't out alive yet.
No, we got 90 minutes to fly across the border of Afghanistan. And now we're flying in a huge a Chinook, which is bigger than a school bus, louder than a school bus. And we got to fly for 90 minutes before we get shot down by an F-16 that we sold Pakistan. So and again, too, this is where I'm assuming American air power and American intelligence came in, because I don't need to know on the ground how many aircraft that you have above us. I'm just assuming you have them. And you might want to call the Pakistanis and tell them, hey, we have better jets than you, and we're up here. Turn around.
It is Rob O'Neill. I've got to ask you, I'm a gun guy, but I've never obviously done anything like what you did, and I never will. But are they all suppressed? Is the gunfire loud? Is there a neighborhood that can hear what's going down? How do you do the actual operation and stay quiet?
Yeah, I would. I always carried suppressed. Some of my guys did not, because they like the idea of that extreme violent noise. Again, because I would rather convince someone not to fight us than fight him. I mean, bin Laden was going to die, but there's a lot of dudes that I've killed that I've actually questioned. Like one of the guys that I think of all the time was in Iraq, where I killed his brother, and then I went, so front door, killed his brother in the front room, and then I did a one-man entry, which is stupid, into the second room, and there was a dude in there in bed with his wife, and I saw a gun, and he was going for the gun, and I said out loud, I don't speak Arabic, but I was like, don't do it. He went for it, and I killed him. And I've thought about him now, and it's like, why did he go for that gun?
You would not have.
No, but he went for it because I'm in his room at 2 a.m, his worst nightmare. Yeah, and then I start thinking, why am I in his room at 2 a.m? Well, because George Bush decided he was mad at Saddam Hussein for saying something about his dad. So we invaded Iraq and killed a couple million people. And, I mean, he went for a gun to defend his family. Was he Al-Qaeda? Yes. But it's like, was he funny? Would he have told me a joke over coffee? And this is where PTSD comes in. The further you get away from it, there are real men and women out there doing real stuff. And there's a lot of soldiers, a lot of Marines, a lot of airmen who had a much dangerous job than I did, because we got to fight on our terms. We could turn missions down. Can you imagine being a 21-year-old Marine driving down Route Irish in Iraq, and all you're thinking is, okay, I'm going to blow up now. I'm going to blow up now. I'm going to blow up now. That'll wear on your psyche after 13 months and then 3 deployments like that. So, I mean, it's these politicians get a lot of these young men and women in some just horrible situations. And that's why you have homeless veterans. They're not sure what to do because they got hung out to dry. I mean, look at the withdrawal from Afghanistan. What a shame. If you took the bin Laden team and said, come up with the worst way to leave Afghanistan, we would have done exactly what the Biden administration did.
It's robertjoneil.com, robertjoneil.com. Get his, go check out his podcast, Operator. Get the book called The Operator, and also see this special series on Netflix, American Manhunt. Rob, you're an affable guy. You're a nice guy. You and I have gotten along. Probably we've known each other 10 years, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
And every time you come on, you're great. But the gravity of what you're talking about, and I've had people on who have PTSD who have described it's like reality, Pags. It's like it's really happening to me. And I can't even imagine. You killed that guy a long time ago, but I never would have put it in those terms. It was 2:00 in the morning. He's in bed with his wife, and of course he's going to reach for a gun because there's a stranger with a gun in his doorway. I mean, you're humanizing people you were told weren't really human, and it's got to really weigh on you, because I find you to be a really nice guy. If you don't mind, because there are people that watch and listen to me that have PTSD. I'm based in San Antonio, Military City, USA. So if you don't mind, just give me a little bit more of that. Because it sounds like you're able to process it, whereas others might not. I noticed that you're not homeless, thank God. I noticed that you are successful, thank God. But you must have been, there's got to be some way that you, Rob O'Neill, have compartmentalized this stuff in such a way that you can at least have a bit of a grip on it where others don't. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And what the men and women who fought in combat need to realize, because I bring politics into a lot of stuff too. Get politics out of it. You weren't fighting because the Bush administration decided to invade Iraq. We are fighting because of 9/11, but when you're on the ground, you're fighting for the man and woman next to you. Politics doesn't matter, and we won. We won every fight. The bad guys don't stand a chance against us on the ground. Like with SEAL Team 6, with Navy SEALs, they killed us when they shot a helicopter down because a bullet needs to be right one time.
Right.
That's it. But there are the first thing is to admit, okay, they asked a lot out of us, but then you need to get the pills the VA is pushing on you out of your medicine cabinet and look into alternate ways to heal. And I'm a big proponent of Ibogaine, which is a plant-based medicine that's like 5,000 years old from Gabon, and we can't get it. I have to go. I'm going to Mexico again in July. I go once a year because the crazies, the demons come out in me, and this really helps it. But you can't get it here because Big Pharma would lose billions of dollars pushing pills on you, and there's no money in the cure. There's a ton of money in the treatment. Like I'm convinced we could have cured cancer, and we could have cured diabetes, but who's going to pay the billions of dollars a month for insulin? And again, that's Washington, D.C., and that's people being greedy with other people's lives because they honestly don't care. I mean, I think sociopaths are driven to run for office in D.C. I've been there. My first job out of the Navy was working on Capitol Hill, and it is a monstrosity. I can stay 1, maybe 2 nights in D.C., and I need to wash the filth off of myself. I've seen it. I know people there, and you need to be a certain kind of a person to be there, but the guys, the men and women that really try to make a change in Congress, they last 1, maybe 2 terms. They got to leave. But it's the psychopaths that stay there. It's not the person who's in the White House for 4 years. It's a problem. It's the person on Capitol Hill for 40 years.
Yeah, exactly right. It's robertjoneal.com. Go there. Check out his podcast called Operator. The book is called The Operator, Firing the Shots That Killed Osama bin Laden, and my years as a SEAL Team Warrior. And this special series is up on Netflix. I've got one last thing on that, and I really love that you went there. There are people who are homeless veterans that went and valiantly fought. They did what they could to take care of the person next to them. They got the bad guy who they were told was the bad guy, but they're dealing with the same sort of thing that you just exposed to my audience a little while ago. There were kids there that had nothing to do with it. There's a husband who's dead because somebody's in his house, and they go through this, and they're in a freaking tent somewhere in California, and they just have no future. Well, what do we do for them and with them? They're not listening to me right now. They're not taking in what you and I are talking about. But what should we be doing as a people in this country to get them out of that tent, show them there is life to be lived, and that they're not the bad guy? Because I think a lot of them think they're the bad guy.
They do too. With veterans, with combat veterans especially, one major thing is humility. So when someone approaches a vet and says, thank you for your service, that vet generally doesn't know how to respond. It's more of a, you're welcome. I heard what one guy always says is, you're worth it, which is cool. But I think it's more important, instead of saying thank you for your service, say, can you tell me about your service? And just get them to talk about it, because there's a lot of stuff that they're wanting to get out. And these are good people that did what was asked of them. And again, I mean, I'm not trying. Look, the Al Qaeda is horrible. I hate ISIS. All these guys are bad, but no one thinks really that they're the bad guy. Right. And once they start to, you look at the suicide rates go way up, because, like right now with Queers for Palestine.
Yeah, give me a break. Come on.
Hamas is laughing at us. They're like, look at how stupid this country is. You know what we would do? They would kill LGBTQ people before they killed us, the veterans. Yes. And we're so, it's not even uneducated. It's purposely miseducated on reality. It's like you can't understand in Switzerland why you bring this many dudes from a remote part of Pakistan and all of a sudden they're stabbing people and there's terrorist attacks every day. Well, because it's like you need to open your eyes. It's just because. And the realization too, this happened before 9/11, and God forbid, it's coming again. Just because on 9/10, other than Ahmad Shah getting killed, not Ahmad Shah, but Ahmad Shah Massoud getting killed, we didn't think we were at war. And just because you don't think you're at war with someone doesn't mean they're not at war with you. And 100%. Al Qaeda has told us, ISIS has told us, Al Shabaab has told us, the Americans have the clocks, but we have the time. Open your eyes. And look what's happening in Colombia. These are terrorists screaming for, look at what happens in Colorado. Look what happens. It's as plain, again, as the nose on your face. I won't screw it up this time. But, I mean, I don't want another 9/11. I would love another 9/12. And unfortunately, it's coming. And it's not going to be planes flying into buildings. It's going to be some of the most horrific Beslan gun-free zones, multiple schools and emergency rooms getting hit by the 8,000 terrorists that are already here because of the open borders for the past 4 or 5 years. And I mean, I go crazy sometimes because I can see this. I've seen it. I've seen how fragile life is. I've seen how permanent it is to kill someone, how fast it happens. And no one here pays attention.
It's crazy. Well, Rob, hopefully we've got with the new administration, and hopefully they're not just talking the talk, which I think a lot of times they are, but they're also walking the walk and getting rid of these people as fast as they can. But you're right. Some guy from Egypt is mad that somebody's yelling "Free Palestine," decides to light them on fire and kill them if they can where they stand at 70 or 80 years old, where they're just saying "Free Palestine." And you're right. 8,000 is probably a number that's close to the right number. I've heard people say more than that. I've heard people say less than that. But I want to relate one story, if you don't mind. You talked about thank you for your service. And I was at an airport. This has to be, man, it's got to be somewhere in 07, 08, something like that. And there's a young guy, might be 21 years old, wearing fatigues. He's about to get on a flight, go somewhere. And I said, thank you for your service. He didn't say, you're welcome. He didn't say, hey, no problem. He didn't just nod. He said, do you have any idea what it's like to be in Fallujah? And I said, no. I have no. He was mad. I was like, and I went, I don't. I said, but I'd like for you to tell me. He said, it's death every day. It's death. I walk in, I'm pretty sure I'm going to die that day. I said, well, listen, I was a television news anchor at the time, so it might have even been like 04 or 05. And I handed him my email address. I said, dude, I'd love to talk to you about this. Doesn't have to be on the air. I'm sorry that you're going through this. If there's something I can do, let me know. He never emailed me. I don't even know if he's alive. But Rob, that reaction taught me, thank you for your service as sort of a flippant thing to say, doesn't hit the way you think it's going to hit. I think that you made a great point with that.
Fallujah's another animal too. I remember somewhere. So U.S. Marines are the best. They can make anything work with limited assets. And I remember a fight somewhere, and I heard them all yelling. And I was up on a roof, and I said, "Hey, use your radios." And one of the Marines said, "We don't have radios." I'm like, "Oh." And just, I mean, I've been in spots before because they're daytime fighting house to house, and Al-Qaeda does not use suppressors, and getting an AK-47 shot at you from a few feet away is horrifying.
Right.
It's life-changing. And a lot of these Marines got so used to it. I mean, God bless the Marine Corps. I can't say enough good about the Marine Corps. It's almost like, I almost wish I would have been able to join the Marine Corps, but I also am happy I joined the Navy because I had a radio.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Well, I mean, just to put a point on that, I'm guessing you're not surprised by his answer to me. I was, because I was just some dude did television news, and I was saying hello in an airport. Like he was ready to dump. He was ready to let somebody know what he's going through, and it really woke me up. So I'm guessing you're not surprised by what he said. No,
not at all. And then the Marine Corps, they saw, I mean, other than Vietnam, that was the most hardcore fighting since Iwo Jima. You got to figure when you're fighting an enemy that not only is willing to die, but wants to die, they embrace death like we embrace life, because they know, I mean, no one thinks they're the bad guy.
Right.
And these people know that when they die in combat, they're going to paradise. They know it. Like, we're dealing with a group of people who has made suicide bombing a common term. So you got to figure that out. They're literally blowing themselves up, and it's common. We don't even bat an eye at it. I remember when it first started with the Palestinians way back before 9/11, and it was shocking. Oh my God, these people are blowing themselves up. Well, because they're going to heaven, they think. And I tell people that want to listen to me, picture the craziest aunt you have in your family at Thanksgiving that is completely religious. These jihadis are crazier, and they know that they're right. And I don't even know what's the answer, because we've tried the bombs and the bullets. I mean, it would be nice to get an education to somebody.
Well, I would like to see that happen as well, but you're right. They're breeding them to think this way, and they really, really, really believe it. It's Rob O'Neill, robertjoneil.com. Go there, go check out his podcast, Operator. Get his book called The Operator as well. You can see it over his shoulder there. But one last question, Robin. I can do 5 hours with you. We've got to do this again very soon.
Absolutely.
But in how you're talking about going into Iraq, and now we know that they didn't have nukes. They had weapons of mass destruction that were very, very old, the mustard stuff, but they didn't have what we were told they had. Did our going into Iraq, and I'm not blaming any military member whatsoever, I'm blaming the leadership, I'm blaming Bush, to be honest. Yes. If we don't go in there, is the Middle East as screwed up as it is today?
No. Iraq was one of those things where
they were actually keeping Iran in check, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. I mean, you get the Sunni Shia split right there, and it's that, they fought a 10-year war or whatever. It didn't really break any ground. And it's not, we never should have invaded, but we never should have left, because we did form ISIS. And we made it really, really easy for jihadis from Jordan or Egypt to come into Iraq to fight with us. And, not everybody wants our type of democracy. And unfortunately, some of those countries need a dictator. That's about it. I mean, we went in for the wrong reasons. I know the Cheney family got really rich. So, I mean, I see Halliburton everywhere. That's pretty convenient. A lot of money being made there. And, that's part of the reason I'm a registered independent. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat.
Right. I'm a conservative.
I'm a conservative fiscally. I'm a little more liberal as far as maybe we don't need to invade everyone. But
I would agree with that.
From firsthand experience, like there's a huge difference between barking from the pulpit of the Capitol than actually being there, being that Marine in Fallujah. That's very, very real. I mean, one of the best memes I've ever seen was some poor Marine throwing a grenade, and below it, all it said was, "I just joined for the college money."
It is Rob O'Neill. He's the guy that took out bin Laden, thank God. I said last question, let me leave you with this, and give me a couple of minutes on this if you don't mind. Are bin Laden's kids running things now? I mean, it turns out Al-Qaeda didn't go away. We thought it was gone. It's not. Al-Qaeda is growing. I had I had Sarah Adams on not long ago. She says Al-Qaeda is here. So tell me your thoughts about Al-Qaeda, what it's become in the 14 years since you took out the leader.
When Sarah Adams talks, everyone needs to shut up and listen. She's the smartest person in the room, without question. She knows the truth about Osama bin Laden that we said was dead for a number of years. He's not dead. He's in Al-Qaeda, or he's in Afghanistan. He's running all the training camps, and all they're thinking about doing is another 9/11. They don't forget about us just because we forget about them. They don't watch, the Real Lives of Mormon Wives and the Kardashians. They have one thing in mind, and it's jihad, and that's it. And jihad is the law. And if you're that serious about God, which they are, it's to think that it's over is I keep guns in my house and keep the alarm system on all the time, and I'll yell at my wife if she doesn't keep the door locked all the time. Same. And she'll even ask, like, well, why do I need the door locked? I'm like, because that gives me 5 seconds to get the shotgun out of the closet, and then I'm going to defend you.
Yes. Al-Qaeda, obviously, we're the evil. We're the greater evil. Okay. Why didn't we think it was gone? Was that misinformation on purpose? Because we know that it's not only still there, according to Sarah, it might be bigger than it used to be.
Well, yeah, I've been in rooms before where it's morbid as I'll get up. But like I killed a dude in front of his 3 sons, and I remember thinking, now did I just eliminate a terrorist or did I create 3 more?
Right.
You need to understand the history, the traditions, respect. When we first started going into Afghanistan, we'd clear a room and throw the Quran on the ground. You're not going to win hearts and minds by doing that. You need to be educated on what you're doing, and regardless of your intentions, if you stay in someone else's country for too long, you're an invader, and you might not like to hear that. You might be as American as apple pie. After 9/11, I would have invaded Canada if they wanted us to, but then you think more about it. And I learned overseas in combat zones, most people are not combatants. They just want to get on with their lives. Right. And that's the case everywhere. They're sending, you rarely hear of bin Laden blowing himself up or Zawahiri blowing himself up. It's always the foot soldier. It's always the Marines that are on the ground dying. It's never the politicians. I mean, rarely. There's a couple, in Congress. And I'm not trying to broad brush all of Congress. There are good people in there, but again, they just get sick of it. They get tired of the BS and the nonsense, and that's why vets get out of Congress too. So it's a self-licking ice cream cone, and I think the only way out is education.
It is Robert O'Neill. He's the guy that took out bin Laden in 2011, former U.S. Navy SEAL. Get his book called The Operator, Firing the Shots That Killed Osama bin Laden in My Years as a SEAL Team Warrior. And this special is it on now on Netflix? Is it up and running now?
Yeah, it's on. I think it's number 1 right now. I was giving the Real Lives of Mormon Wives some crap because they were number 1 over me, and I'm like, well, shows you where your priorities are. However, my wife does watch that show, and I've caught myself like sitting in the room like,
of course you're going to watch it.
Really, really interesting. I'm not trying to plug them. Watch my show, not theirs. But I mean, again, if you want to get checked out and just watch. I shouldn't say nonsense, but that's
something that's off the beaten path. Absolutely. It is American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden. Go and get it. Rob, thanks for giving me so much time today, and thank you for your friendship. I really appreciate what you've done for this country. I know that comes off weird, but I truly do get it. And anything I can do for you, let me know, all right?
Let's just do this again, Joe. It's been too long. I love talking with you.
We will absolutely do it again, my friend. Thank you so much. That's it for this episode of Unshaken and Unafraid with Joe Pags. Another one to drop soon.